Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus arcade video. Today we're going to be taking a look. As you can see on your screen here, we have the System 256 test mode, and the software loaded is TED2 version B1, which is Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection. There's nothing really too exciting here in the test mode, except for if you see the card options here, which in my previous Tekken 5 videos, this wasn't even, it was all grayed out. And if I put my card into the card reader, you'll see it shows the serial number of the card, and I can do like a read-write test by pressing button 1, and of course read-write is okay, and then I hit button 2 and you'll hear the snap of the card popping out, and that pops the card out. That's really the only different thing here, and of course you can do the close setting for the cards, but considering I'm just doing this here in a home setting, there's no need for that. But the options for game options are exactly the same as Tekken 5. Coin options, of course, I have this set to free play because I don't have coin counters or coin meter set up. Let me zoom out here and I'll show you real quick what we have going on the actual hardware here. Get the tripod around here. Okay, here's our actual... Okay, now we're all the way zoomed out. Here's our actual system board. This is, of course, the same Namco System 256 board that I have used for all of my videos. On the top here, you see the Namco B JAMA I/O board, which goes into the side here with this ribbon cable. The big difference, of course, here is connected here is what's called the X card, EX card board, and that allows the card readers to connect with these big gray cables here. And this little thing here is the actual power harness that then goes into the card readers and powers the card readers. Without that, the card readers wouldn't have power. That's why I'm using this, and the power supply that I had actually originally bought for Gauntlet Legends to power this, as opposed to using a JVS power supply. Of course, same old VGA monitor connection, right and left audio connection, and this is the controller ports for the PlayStation controllers that I've been using for 256 since I've gotten those. Get the wire here a little untangled, and I'll just show you this real quick. This is just a standard PlayStation 2 controller connected to the bracket that, if you had an arcade cabinet, this would be mounted on the outside of your cabinet, but of course I don't, so I just have the cable connected, and if I need to do anything with Player 2, I can just connect the controller to Player 2, which right now I have a regular PlayStation controller. And as you can see here, these are the actual card readers, and here's the card that I was just popping in and out. Now, I'll probably go into this more in the video, but the way that it works, you get 25G for defeating the AI in a two-match thing, and then of course you get 1,000 if you beat another player. And then there is a bonus where you get 50 when you beat Jinpachi at the end, which you will see in the coming video here. But I will probably do a bit more in-depth about the whole card reader system in a upcoming video. But as I said, all the test mode stuff is exactly the same, so let's go ahead and get out of this. And we will go ahead and get right into this. So I just have to press button 1, which on this controller, the way this works is just like in one of the games. Left punch, left kick, right kick. So it's very familiar for anyone who's ever played Tekken on PlayStation at all. So I just go ahead and press the square button, which is button 1. And it goes right out of it. And now what'll happen here is the system actually has to reboot in order to get back into the game, which with the Namco System 256, it really doesn't take too long to do this. So here it goes. I don't know if you heard that, but it said good morning. And then we're going to go ahead and get right into this. Okay, and as you can see here from the selection screen, all the characters from Tekken 5.1 return, with the exception of Lili and Sergei Darkov, and of course Armor King 2. Now, I've just inserted the card into card slot 1, as you can see it's red and it's pulsing, and I've actually purchased the black accessory for her default costume.
Get ready for the next battle.
And you'll see my play count there. That's the way if you want to keep track of like how many wins and losses I've had. I've had a few wins and losses in this gameplay. And now those 16 wins that you see there, those are only to do with versus human opponents. So when I lose against AI here, there won't be any change in that count, because it's only giving you your wins and losses versus actual people that you may have played against.
You win.
And the 16 wins that I ended up doing were just me pressing start on controller number 2 and more or less beating up somebody who's not playing the game, just to see what would happen when it came to beating a human opponent, because I wanted to see if it actually would increment that number, which of course, as I can see, it did.
You win.
Please don't tell my father.
Get ready for the next
And
battle.
as I made mention of earlier, when you get a win in the
Fight.
versus AI arcade mode, if you will, you only get 25G per 2-bout match, whereas if this were a human opponent, I would get 1000G. And that's the reason why my character is currently at 50Q, is because I had defeated player 2 16 times, and that actually ended up leveling me up, and that's the only way you can level up, is to versus human opponents. Now, a little backstory about Lili here. Lili's the only daughter of a wealthy and pacifistic oil manufacturer. She resides in a very luxurious suburban mansion with her father and her butler, Sebastian, who you'll hear her reference several times in her win poses. At the age of 12, Lili struggled violently to free herself from a group of thugs, and she unexpectedly takes out one of her captors. At that moment, she realized she took pleasure in defeating her opponents. And now, as you'll see here...
You win. Get ready for the next
okay,
battle.
that wasn't one of the win poses where she mentioned Sebastian.
Round 1.
Okay, Lili only wants to please her father, but she knows that he dislikes fighting because he wants his daughter to be a prim and proper lady, not a convict. Her desire to fight could not be restrained, and for this reason, she secretly used her family's private jet to travel abroad to take part in a worldwide street fighting tournament, which she enjoyed immensely. This was done under the guise of a vacation from her homeland. One day after defeating an opponent in San Francisco, she acquired an invitation to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5. Lili noticed that the head of the tournament, the Mishima Zaibatsu, and had caused her father much problems in the past. With the assumption of the Mishima Zaibatsu being a useful potential asset to her father, she was determined to take part in the tournament and win to put an end to her father's business situation. However, her chances of winning the tournament are completely crushed at the clutches of Asuka Kazuma. To make matters worse, her father discovered that she volunteered in the tournament, and as consequences, he prohibits her from leaving home, thwarting her chances of the confrontation between her and Asuka. Let's see if she says Sebastian here.
You win.
Please don't tell my father.
And once again,
Get
she
ready
doesn't.
for the next
So
battle.
maybe the next one. And as you see, play count went down to 465 because I had lost once against Hayahachi. And that's how you lose those 500 plays on your card. Each card that you purchase in an arcade is 500 plays are available. When you lose against human-controlled opponents, or if you lose against the AI, you lose plays on your card. And every time you do a match, win or lose against a human-controlled opponent, you lose 1 play.
Round 2.
So, if I were to fight against somebody 5 times, win or lose, that's 5 plays. But if I were to go all the way through arcade mode here and not lose once, that's only 1 play. But anytime I lose in arcade mode, that subtracts a play away. Let's see if she actually mentions Sebastian right now.
You win.
Time for my afternoon tea. Farewell.
Okay, I know at some point she mentions
Ready for the
him.
next battle.
Okay, now getting back to the story here. Sometime later, the Mishima Zaibatsu seizes the oil fields that her father owned, Rockford Enterprises, fall into dismay, and Lili's father, who was ordered to cope with the hijacking, collapsed from serious anxiety. Lili, who is concerned about her father's pacifistic persona, believes that if she were able to reclaim her father's oil fields somehow from the Zaibatsu, she would, without a doubt, remove his problems. While she deeply thought how to best act, the Mishima Financial Group announces the opening of the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6, which of course would be the next game. Believing this was her big break, Lili enters the tournament for her father's sake. In the scenario campaign, Lili docks a freighter which doubles as her private yacht and determines to penetrate the Mishima Zaibatsu and thereby locate Jin Kazama. She challenges Lars Anderson and Elisa Boscanovich, who prevail over her. Gracious in debt, Lili provides a duel with an SUV, which she explains was a birthday gift, but just not to her taste, and makes them a guarantee they'll defeat Jin before leaving the scene. So that's kind of her storyline up to the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6. And of course, as you can see, the enemy I just fought was the Jack 5 robot in this game.
Sebastian, they say they're leaving already.
And there, of course, as I had mentioned, is her
Ready for the next battle.
reference to Sebastian. Now you can see the play count goes down to 463, so I lost twice against Jin.
Round 1. Fight.
And now this game takes just about all of the stages from the previous game, plus it modifies a couple of the stages. So like for instance, the stage All Hallows Eve becomes, the Secret Garden from Tekken 5 becomes All Hallows Eve. The stage Polar Paradise becomes Aurora Australis. The Burning Temple becomes the Autumn Temple. The City at Sunset becomes the City Lights. Acid Rain becomes the Festival. The Pirate's Cove becomes the Galleon. The Urban Jungle becomes the Ghetto Pit. And the Moonlit Wilderness, which of course is my favorite stage from Tekken 5, becomes the Great Plains. A new stage, Ground Zero, is added. Hell's Gate becomes Heaven's Gate. Final stage becomes Inferno, which you'll see later. Waterfall becomes
Farewell.
Waterfall becomes Meteor Shower.
Get ready for the next battle.
No losses here, so I just went right through Wang here.
Round 1.
Poolside becomes Pool Party. Final Frontier becomes Space Colony. Dragon's Nest becomes Western Gate. Cathedral becomes Winter Palace. And of course, other brand new stages are the Industrial Complex, the Omnibus Mist, the Playroom, and the Wolf's Den. Those are all completely new stages, which the Wolf's Den was the stage that I actually had faced against Kuma earlier in the gameplay.
You win.
Now, the arcade release for this game was November 2005 in Japan, February 2006 in the US, which is why I had the whole 2005 to 2006, Namco System 256 in the intro video and in this video. The only ports are PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Portable. And let's see what she says at the end of this video.
You win.
Sebastian, can't you do better than this?
Get ready for the next battle.
And I lost once against Devil Jin, which wasn't too bad at all.
Round 1. Fight.
And now, as you notice here, as I was just mentioning, you'll see this area looks relatively the same, but it's kind of like all cold and snowy. And now the PlayStation Portable version of A Dark Resurrection came out on July 6, 2006 in Japan, July 25th, 2006 in North America, September 14th, 2006 in Australia, and September 15th, 2006 in Europe.
Round 2.
Then, of course, there was the PlayStation Network version for PlayStation 3, which came out December 12th, 2006 in Japan, March 1st, 2007 in North America, and then March 23rd, 2007 in Australia and Europe. And those were the only ports of this game. And as of making this video, which we're in the end of August in 2016, the arcade version of this game is currently not emulated, so the only way to play this game is either on a Namco System 256 like I'm playing it right now, or on the PlayStation Portable or the PlayStation 3. Unless, of course, Namco decides to port this game to the PlayStation 4, which, at the moment of this recording, was not done. And what I was mentioning before is that the original stage, the Cathedral, has become what's called the Winter Palace.
Sebastian, can't you do better than this?
Get ready for the next battle.
And now you'll see it went all the way down to 456, so I lost quite a few times against Jinpachi.
Round 1. Fight.
And now this was originally called Final Stage, so, and now it's called Inferno. As you can see, Jinpachi is now like a crazy fireman here.
Fight.
And the music is a little bit different too. But yeah, Jinpachi is really hard. I don't know if it's just this game where his difficulty's been increased, but it just seems like to me that his difficulty has been greatly increased, and
Continue.
apparently I must have left a loss in there, but
Get ready
it's
for the
only
next
one.
battle.
So you can kind of see like me inserting my card and everything there. I had to say yes to choose card.
Round 1.
And now if I was actually playing against player 2, and player 2 was using a card, you notice how on the bottom left corner, how the card is red and it's pulsing like that? Well, you'll notice how player 2's card is grayed out. Well, it would be pulsing like that as well. And that was like a great that I was completely not expecting, so I was very surprised when I actually did this. But what I was saying is, Final Stage here has become Inferno, which,
Round 2.
if you recall in either of my Tekken 5.1 videos, this was kind of just like a tornado stage, but not as much fire. I could go as far as to say this reminds me a little bit of Omega Stage in Dead or Alive 3, how it has all the crazy fire around it. But the only thing that I have to say that I'm a bit disappointed that got removed in Tekken Dark Resurrection, or Tekken 5.2 as it's known internally by Namco, is when you would go to the fight with Jinpachi, it would do that whole, I can't believe you made it this far thing, where Jinpachi's talking to you, and then the very end where he's like, but this was supposed to happen, and then he turns to stone and falls apart. And you notice I got 50 G there instead of 25.
Farewell.
And all you get is that kind of very small, oh my god, Jinpachi's dead type thing, which, as I was saying, I kind of liked the whole, this was meant to happen, how could I possibly die to the likes of you type, ending scene, and the, whole confrontation scene in the beginning in Tekken 5 and Tekken 5.1. So I was kind of disappointed that they took those out, and it would have been kind of cool if they actually had added, individual intros for everyone. Now, I can't really vouch for the PlayStation 3 version, but I honestly don't recall that in the PlayStation portable version. Now, as a little quick bit of trivia here that I'm going to give to you while these extremely, like, dull credits are happening, because there's no, like, pictures or anything. This was the final Tekken game to be given an official arcade release outside of Japan and Asia, because I guess Tekken 6 didn't get a release here in America, and as of right now, I've not seen any Tekken 7 machines in America. Every stage in Dark Resurrection are the ones based off of the former stages from Tekken 5. In the PlayStation 3 version, the player needs to finish arcade mode 3 times to unlock them. The final part of the intro references Tekken 2 intros, including Heihachi looking at the screen and the stormy weather. The only character that did not receive a new default color from Tekken 5 is Eddie Gordo, who I guess stays exactly the same. Let's see, there's a new announcer, so if you listen to the announcer in the beginning of this game when he says good morning, especially if you check in my new pickups video, it's a different announcer, and he sounds slightly different. I think he's a little bit more subdued. The words ready and fight are a little bit different as well. But this has been another Game Nexus arcade video. Oh, and it's saying the arcade version retains the PS2 controller ports and card systems from Tekken 5 data cards registered with the original version, which actually can be converted to Dark Resurrection, but all existing data will be wiped, apparently. And, you could see the cards that I use are actually Tekken 5 cards, so if you ever wanted to know that, Tekken 5 cards can be used with Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, but as it's telling me here on one of the various information sites, you'll lose all your data if you convert an existing card, but if you use blank cards like the ones I had purchased, they work just as well as Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection cards would work, but they just don't have that, like, fancy art. So it goes without saying, I highly recommend Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection, whether you get the arcade version like I have, the PSP version, or the PS3 version. It's an excellent game, and of course if you like Tekken and fighting games like me, it's a no-brainer. Well, this has been another Game Next